Welcome to Oxford News This Week. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Terry Stiles. In this week's news, vandalism at a township park, council considers free childcare at meetings, and golf outing dinner to benefit local dog rescues.
Stay tuned, learn more about these stories and others. The Oxford News begins right now. Last week, officials discussed a previous recommendation by Councilwoman Kate Logan for the village to make free on-site child care available to the public during council meetings. Logan said this is a way to increase participation and interest in local government. Village President Joel Frost noted free child care is available at parent-teacher organization meetings, and as a result, they've got a huge turnout. Nothing has been approved, however. Council is looking at having the child care provided by either the Goddard School of Oxford, a private business, or the Oxford Early Learning Center, operated by Oxford Community Schools. Logan estimated it would cost approximately $50 per meeting, assuming a pay rate of $12 per hour for each of 2 adults spending 2 hours supervising the kids. As far as funding goes, Logan said council members previously discussed voluntarily donating a portion of their pay that they receive for serving on the board.
This is not my favorite story. Oakwood Lake Park was vandalized between August 13th and 14th. Vandals used a vehicle to repeatedly drive over the 3 different grass areas in the 300-acre park. Some damage was near the entrance and visible from Oakwood Road. The vehicle tore up the grass, left behind ruts and tracks, tree damage, and the gate was torn off. Some pieces of broken plastic, possibly from the responsible vehicle, were found around the damaged tree. According to Park Superintendent Jeff Canaz, the damage done will make them have to haul in dirt, level ground, and plant new grass seed. Canaz estimates it will cost about $2,000 to $3,000 to repair that damage. Vandalism at Oakwood Lake Park is nothing new. There have been numerous acts over the years. All this vandalism deters the department from adding new amenities to the park. Efforts to catch the perpetrators have been unsuccessful, unfortunately. Canaz noted the Oakland County Sheriff's Office routinely patrols that park, but they did not see the person doing it. If anyone witnessed an act of vandalism at the park, Canaz urges them to call either the Sheriff's Office or the Parks and Rec Department at 248-628-0140 right away.
2 decisions regarding next year's reconstruction of M24 in Oxford Village were made by council last week. Construction will be permitted to start as early as 6 a.m. and run as late as 10 p.m. as needed. Secondly, an official logo was adopted for use in all print, digital, and marketing materials concerning the project. Scheduled to begin in March 2020 and run through November, the M24 construction project will encompass everything between Golden Gate Street in Orion Township and Gateway Drive in Oxford Township.
The public spoke during a hearing at last week's Oxford Township Board meeting on the possibility of allowing televisions and music on the outdoor patio connected to the restaurant and bar inside Legacy 925, formerly known as the Legacy Center. Many of those present were opposed to the idea. The opposition came from residents of the nearby Stony Lake Village condos who do not want it or any of that outside because they fear the potential will increase noise negatively and impact their quality of life and property values. Some supported the idea of allowing outdoor televisions and music, or at least giving legacy owner Lake Orion resident Christian Mills the opportunity to demonstrate that noise will not be a problem. At its June 12th regular meeting, the Township Board voted 4-2 to give Mills temporary permission to use the outdoor patio on the west side of his building until September 30th. Customers are allowed to eat and drink there each day until 11 p.m. But Legacy is not allowed to have any televisions or music on that patio area. As part of that approval, the township was to conduct a public hearing on the issue.
You could take time off work and fly to Munich, Germany to attend Oktoberfest this year, or head to downtown Oxford's Centennial Park on Saturday, September 21st for Oktoberfest. The event is from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. The event is being organized by Holy Cross Lutheran Church, and the Oktoberfest will feature beers produced by Oxford's two craft breweries, Homegrown Brewing Company and Gravel Capital Brewing, and food prepared by local restaurants. Beer and food tickets will be sold for $5 each, and each ticket will entitle the holder to one beer or one small plate food item. Net proceeds from ticket sales will benefit Love in the Name of Christ, Love Incorporated of North Oakland County. Oktoberfest will also feature live music, fun snacks, and family activities. For more information, contact Schuler via email at info@holycross, or you can also call at 248-274-4676.
Finally, last week, the Oxford Village Council voted 4-1 to adopt an ordinance prohibiting marijuana establishments within the village boundaries. The prohibition ordinance, which takes effect on September 19th, would only be temporary as it contains repeal and sunset provisions. The village's planning commission is currently working on a regulatory ordinance and has devoted its second regular meeting of the month to addressing this topic. That meeting happens on the third Tuesday at 7 p.m.
A vacant house near the intersection of Oakwood and Hosner Roads is still standing thanks to the quick response of Addison Township firefighters. On Friday morning, firefighters were called after the next door neighbors called 911 to report a fire. According to Assistant Fire Chief Dan Klein, the fire was mainly contained to a bathroom on the second floor with minor extension to the attic. The fire is still under investigation, but Klein says that it appears more than likely caused by faulty wiring.
Last week, the Oxford Township Board voted 7-0 to increase the flat rate that customers are charged for the first 1,500 cubic feet of water from $34 to $38 per quarter. All customers pay this flat rate every 3 months, whether they use this minimum amount or not. This rate increase does not apply to the Oxford Village water customers because they are served by a separate system.
This story is for the birds. A proposed ordinance in Oxford Village is allowed for the keeping of chickens on residential properties will be discussed on Tuesday, September 10th at the Oxford Village Council meeting. A public hearing and first reading of the draft Benton language is scheduled for 6:30 p.m. Under the proposed ordinance, residents living in detached single-family homes would be allowed to have up to 4 chickens for personal use only, and the chickens would be required at all times to remain within a fully enclosed coop with maximum area of 300 square feet. Good luck, chicks.
That story just cracks me up.
It does.
I think if you want chickens, shouldn't you go out to the agricultural areas of our community? However, it's becoming quite a popular thing.
Mm-hmm. That would be your opinion, but I can imagine,
Yeah.
you know, let me see, you're going to sell your property and, oh, you have chickens next door. I don't know about that.
I know. I'm not sure that, I don't know.
Yeah, it's an experiment, and as they pointed out during some of the meetings, that it's very possible if it doesn't work out, they can always rescind the ordinance.
And everybody has to kill their chickens.
Everybody has, well, that was
and then
the
they
other.
can't kill their chickens on the property, right? Or
Right,
can they
well,
do that now?
Well,
I don't know yet.
That's under discussion. Some
gosh.
say, well, you know, if you, after dark, bring them into the house and annihilate the chicken. I don't know what they're going to do.
That is such an ugly sight, too. I happened to witness that one time, and you can't get rid of it. You can't unsee it. So you don't want that little chicken with his head cut off
No,
running around your
running
house.
around the house,
Oh my
jumping
gosh,
from counter to counter.
It'll be
Could
interesting to
problem.
watch what happens with all
Yes,
that.
right.
You know, I'm really disappointed And I'm curious, you talked about the house, the abandoned house that
Yes.
caught on fire. That's at Oakwood and Hosner. That's right out by Oakwood Lake Park.
Yeah.
That's all in the same kind of area. I'm so disappointed that there's kids in this area, and I'm using that term loosely. It could be obviously somebody with a car, so it's maybe an early adult, just trashing our parks. This community just voted to give the parks their renewed millage in order to continue to maintain our parks as beautiful as they are. I am just so upset about hearing about this, and that's not the first time. Poor Jeff has gone out there many times to see the gate all bashed in, and there's those Frisbee golfs, disc course out there. They've trashed that, and you know, this community is doing what they can for the young kids. I have heard over and over again from parents, you don't have anything for the kids out here. You don't have anything for the kids. You know what? We have lots for the kids, and they're destroying it.
You know, my father would find plenty for me to do.
Oh, my goodness.
I wouldn't have time to do that kind of stuff, nor any of the other 5 children.
And there shouldn't be
family.
that much time to do that kind of thing. And if your kid brings their vehicle home with damage on it, and that tree that they were talking about, it's knocked over and a big huge gouge taken out of it. So there's got to be some kind of damage.
Now there's more than that going on with the parks, because there's lots of vandalism going on with the Pollyant Trail as well.
Yes, I hear that. Yep.
Yep, and they have to constantly take graffiti off the bridges and so forth.
Yeah, and they set a bridge on fire last year.
Yep.
What's going on?
If it's
You know, it's
kids,
not respect for, there's no respect for the money that the community is putting into their own community.
No.
I don't know, I don't get
and
that.
if it's you kids out there, your parents are paying for this before it's done. And if they find out who's doing this, it's going to cost your parents more.
Oh boy. And the parents are going to
and it's going to cost you also, because you're going to get penalties from it. They do have cameras on the trail, and they have caught a few kids out there.
Yep, I've heard about that, and now we're going to have to do that at the park too, and maybe they can think about that. I have one more bone to pick.
Okay.
So speaking of car damage, I have car damage this week. And now my boss is calling me Crash again. This is the second year in a row that I've gotten in an accident. But this is the second accident I've gotten in because someone was driving in the left-hand turn lane instead of pulling over when you're supposed to turn. They were turning left at Drainer Road, right? But I was down near the donut shop, and I was pulling out of the parking lot, and I saw that the traffic going south was clear, so I was going to get into the left-hand turn lane and let that traffic on the northbound side.
They crossed the yellow line?
Somebody was driving in that left-hand turn lane as I was trying to get in it, and he actually drove all the way up to Drainer Road and turned left. There's two yellow lines, right? And then where you can get over, it's almost at Drainer Road. So what I had to do is I had to back up really fast, because now here comes the traffic. The light turned green, and here's traffic coming at me, and I'm completely across M24, and this guy's driving in the lane that I was going to get in. And so I backed up really fast, and I backed into somebody. Oh, well. So that's the second time. The other time was I was getting over into that left-hand turn lane, and there was a person traveling in that left-hand turn lane, and they were in my blind spot. So I looked to get over, and it was a bus, actually. So
not a good thing.
It was huge. How did I miss that? But it was in my blind spot. But you're not supposed to be traveling in that lane. And people need to realize that's why.
That is a disastrous road, M24 and Drainer. Got to really be careful of that intersection. Now, I come off Drainer because I'm on Oxford Lakes subdivision.
Right.
And one thing that I have is when I'm traveling west on Drainer, the yellow light, it stays for an instant. Don't get caught in the middle, and all of a sudden the traffic starts moving, because there's a lot of accidents caused from
terrible
that.
intersection.
Be very careful.
Really bad.
And do understand that if you're making a change in lanes, that watch those yellow lines. They're there for a reason. You're not supposed to cross those yellow lines.
You can get a ticket for it, but that's probably low on the list of what police are looking out for. But like I said, in my lifetime, it's caused 2 accidents for me. So.
Okay, Crash, what's going on?
Anyhow, that's it for Oxford News this week. If you'd like to learn more about these stories and others, you can pick up a copy of the Oxford Leader newspaper, or better yet, catch us on OCCTV.org or our regular charter channel 191 and AT&T channel 99. Whew,
Very good.
it's a mouthful.
Coming up soon, school news with OCTV's very own Alexis Ware. And also, you won't want to miss Auto Talk and Science in the News with Dave Kenny.
I'm Terry Stiles. Thanks for watching Oxford News This Week, where we bring your news closer to home.
And I'm Elgin Nichols. Remember, always be kind to your friends and neighbors, and thanks for watching.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication Automotive News. In our first story, President Donald Trump chastised automakers on August 21st for not backing his administration's plan to roll back Obama-era fuel efficiency rules. Last month, Ford Motor Company, Honda Motor Company, BMW AG, and Volkswagen AG reached a voluntary agreement with California on fuel efficiency rules, defying Trump and his administration's effort to strip the state of the right to fight climate change by setting its own standards. The White House has urged other automakers not to back the California agreement, while Democrats have been calling and writing automakers urging them to sign on with California. The Environmental Protection Agency ridiculed the voluntary framework, which it says so far has been nothing more than a press release. My proposal to the politically correct automobile companies would lower the average price of a car to consumers by more than $3,000, while at the same time making the cars substantially safer. Engines would run smoother. Very little impact on the environment. Foolish executives, Trump tweeted. Gloria Berquist, a spokeswoman for the Alliance of Automobile Manufacturers representing General Motors, Toyota Motor Corporation, Ford, Volkswagen, and others, said the companies look forward to seeing a final rule soon. We support increases to standards that optimize all the priorities, including affordability, so more Americans can buy a new car, plus preserving jobs and safety at the same time, she said. Sierra Club Executive Director Michael Brune said Trump's tweet was completely untrue. Trump's rollback is unraveling from every corner, he said. All major automakers are on record as saying they oppose the administration's preferred option announced in August of 2018, which would freeze fuel economy requirements at 2020 levels through 2026. Trump's tweet misstated some aspects of the administration's proposal, expected to be finalized sometime after late September. The proposal said that by the 2030 model year, the average price increase of a new vehicle would be reduced by $1,850, and consumers would pay $490 less for financing, insurance, and taxes. There is nothing in the administration proposal revisions that would result in engines running more smoothly, experts say. The Trump's plan's preferred alternative would hike U.S. oil consumption by about 500,000 barrels per day in the 2030s, but reduce automakers' collective regulatory costs by more than $300 billion. It would bar California from requiring automakers to sell a rising number of electric vehicles or setting state emissions rules. The administration says the increased fuel use would hike the average global temperature by 3/1000th of 1 degree Celsius by 2100, but would save thousands of lives over the next 30 years, in part because consumers would be more quickly buy safer, cheaper vehicles. And environmentalists say many states reject that analysis. The Obama-era rules adopted in 2012 call for a fleet-wide fuel efficiency average of 46.7 miles per gallon by 2025, with average increases about 5% per year, compared with 37 miles per gallon by 2026 under the Trump administration's preferred option. And over at Audi, a spokesman for Audi of America said customers interested in the Avant can now sign up, and that the brand will offer pre-ordering for deliveries in 2020. In what might be considered a bold product move given market trends, Audi is bringing its high-powered estate wagon, the RS6 Avant, to North America in the later half of 2020. The redesigned wagon boasts a 591 horsepower twin-turbo-powered V8 engine mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission and all-wheel drive, producing 590 pounds-feet of torque. When it arrives, it will join the A4 All-Road as the only wagons in Audi's U.S. lineup. Throughout our 25-year RS history, the Audi RS6 Avant is one of our absolute icons with a large global fan base, Oliver Hoffman, managing director of Audi Sport GmbH, said in a written statement. We will also be offering the RS6 Avant in North America for the very first time. As such, we will be tapping into a new market with huge potential and generating further growth. While they remain popular in Europe, wagons haven't fared as well in North America, where crossovers, minivans, and SUVs dominate in the family hauler space. Audi's sibling brand, Volkswagen, announced last month that it had intended to end production of its Golf sport wagon and all-track station wagons this year, pulling the plug on a 50-plus year run of wagon offerings from Volkswagen in the U.S. Similarly, sales of the recently introduced Buick Regal Tour X have slowed as well. Pricing of the RS6 Avant was not announced, and a spokesman for Audi of America said customers interested in the Avant can sign up now and that the brand will offer pre-ordering for deliveries in 2020. Well, that's it for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and as always, may the wind be at your back as you cruise down life's highways.
Hello everyone and welcome back to School News. School is officially back in session. It is a short week this week because of Labor Day weekend, so there's no school on Friday district-wide. OHS students take notice that there is school this Wednesday, so don't miss it. This week is full of back-to-school introductions and casualties starting on Tuesday, August 27th over at Oxford Virtual Academy for OVA's Picture Day and orientation from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. There's also a board meeting that day at the board offices starting at 6:30. Wednesday, August 28th, OVA again is hosting their orientations and students get a second chance at taking their school pictures. Oxford Middle School is having a parent tech help event at 5 and their curriculum night shortly after at 6:30. The next day, August 29th, Oxford Middle School is having their fall student picture day, so dress nice students. And again, this very first Friday of school, Friday, August 30th, there is no school district-wide, and that carries over until Monday, September 2nd as well. Next Tuesday, September 3rd, kicks off the second week of school. This day, Clear Lake Elementary and Daniel Axford has their curriculum nights, both starting at 6:30 in their individual schools. The next day, Wednesday, September 4th, Clear Lake is having the second half of their curriculum night, and Oxford Elementary School is having their first half of theirs at 6:30. Thursday, September 5th, finishes off the elementary school's curriculum. Thursday, September 5th, finishes off elementary school's curriculum night with Oxford Elementary School having their last part of theirs at 6:30. Be sure to check with your individual school for further details about curriculum nights and grades. Next Wednesday, Friday, September 6th, finishes off with a Bridges Picture Day. Over at Addison and Oxford Public Library, things are still swinging for them as the school year kicks back in. Oxford Public Library has issued a new news magazine for their fall 2019 activities. If you haven't gotten a copy yet, be sure to stop by and pick up one. For their September events, they're bringing back family movies. The first one is being held on Sunday, September 8th at 2 p.m. for the showing of Dumbo. The next movie isn't until October 27th, so try and make arrangements for the next few weeks from now and bring an appetite for popcorn. In the teen section, they have Boredom Buster Mondays. The first one is Monday, September 9th, so if you're waiting for the school to pick up, that is a good way to pass time. Parents, if you're looking for something to do with you and your youth student, Oxford Public Library has their Bitty Bops events for babies 2 years old and under. Session 1 is going to be held on September 9th through October 7th every Monday at 6:30. Toddler time for ages 24 months to 35 months on September 10th through October 15th, and many more events you can explore. All of these events and more can be found online or in Oxford Public Library News Magazine. Moving over to the Addison Public Library, the Township Board has voted on a resolution of support with some exciting news coming up pretty soon. Keep an eye out to see what's in store for them. They're also urging people who love the library and the community to come out and join the Capital Campaign Committee. There you can help brainstorm fundraising ideas. They meet monthly on every second Thursday. If interested, contact the Addison Library at 248-628-7180. If you aren't interested in joining the committee, you can still purchase a brick that will be installed into the new building. You can get your name on the brick as well as 3 lines of text. The brick purchase can be paid in full or in installments if you prefer not to buy it outright or can't. In addition to purchasing a brick, you can also purchase floor tiles that'll be put inside the new building's flooring. Lots of fun things coming up as the beginning of the school year kicks back up and the fall season moves in. Keep updated here on School News as well as Oxford News This Week. But until next time, I'm Alexa Zorin.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication New Scientist. In our first story, the most detailed pictures yet of the asteroid Ryugu have revealed something curious. It's surprisingly free of dust. Japan's Hayabusa 2 spacecraft arrived at the asteroid in June of 2018, dropped 3 landers, and took a sample of dust from Ryugu's surface. Now, pictures from one of the landers has revealed details about what the asteroid is made up of. From previous observations, scientists knew Ryugu's composition was similar to that of a group of meteorites called carbonaceous chondrites, which make up less than 5% of all meteorites that fall to Earth. But they were surprised about the detail of rock texture that they were able to observe on the surface, says Ralph Jallmann at the German Aerospace Center's Institute for Planetary Science in Berlin, which led the study. Being able to see differently colored bright inclusions in the rock crumbly surfaces and smooth textures is amazing, he says. The images show that there are 2 kinds of rock on Ryugu's surface, dark and rough and bright and smooth, and they both take up equal share of the surface. The pictures also show the surface of Ryugu does not have a layer of dust, like there is on the moon, for example. This is strange, that is, because dust is expected to accumulate through various bumps and scrapes in space. Why it isn't there? That's a mystery. One explanation could be that fine dust particles become charged due to solar radiation and are removed by electrical forces, says Yeoman. Another possibility is that the release of volatile gases from the surface might have blown the dust away. Or maybe, if the asteroid shakes as it travels through space, the dust could have gradually trickled into the interior of the asteroids, meaning we can't see it. At this point, it's unclear which mechanism is most probable for Ryugu, says Yeoman, and the search goes on. In our next story, sitting less and moving more often is associated with a lower risk of early death in middle-aged and older people, according to a review of data from over 36,000 people. Ulf Eklund at the Norwegian School of Sports Sciences in Oslo and his colleagues analyzed 8 studies involving 36,383 adults in the US and Western Europe aged 40 years or older. These studies all used accelerometers, wearable devices that track activity during waking hours. The participants were tracked for an average of 5.8 years, and 2,149 participants died throughout the course of these studies. The researchers found that at any level of physical activity, regardless of intensity, was associated with a substantially lower risk of death. In contrast, spending 9.5 hours or more each day sedentary was associated with a statistical significant increased risk of death. So get moving. In our last story, it has long been known that gallstones grow from crystals in the gallbladder, but it has been unclear how these stick together. Now it seems immune cells are to blame, a finding that could lead to new treatments. Martin Hermann at the Friedrich Alexander University, Erlangen, and Nuremberg in Germany and his colleagues made this discovery while studying small stones in the bile of people undergoing operations to treat their gallstones. On the surface of the small stones were telltale signs of neutrophil extracellular traps, sticky webs of DNA released by immune cells to catch invading microbes. The presence of large clumps of DNA and an enzyme used by neutrophil immune cells suggested that these cells had been targeting bile crystals for attack. To test this, the team mixed cholesterol crystals with human neutrophils in the lab. The neutrophils responded by shooting their DNA out at the crystals. When they shook and spun gallstones around in the presence of neutrophils, the gallstone surfaces quickly collected neutrophil DNA. These sticky webs pulled cholesterol and calcium crystals together to form even larger stones. When they find suspicious matter, for example, the crystals that form gallstones, they tend to eject their DNA and hog-tie the material, says Hermann. These stones formed in this way may go unnoticed until one passes from the gallbladder into the small intestine or lodges in a bile duct, causing sudden and severe pain. The findings may lead to preventative treatments for gallstones. Horman and his colleagues found that altering genes or using drugs to impair formation of these traps led to fewer and smaller gallstones in mice. One of the drugs the team tested, called metoprolol, is currently used to treat some heart conditions. Trials in people are needed to see if the drug also helps to prevent gallstones, says Herman. Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television.